Alright, this is the first video of our series of videos about how to properly maintenance and care for your instrument. We're starting with a flute. We're using this one. It's a flute. We're going to first open up the case. Some people will do it in their lap. As you're starting in 5th grade, I would like you to start with it on the floor because gravity is a cruel mistress. First, you open the case. One of the things you're going to want to do, you might have one of these, they call them a pad saver or a shove-it. You're going to want to take that out of there because if you forget to take it out, the flute will not play. Then the next thing you do, you take your mouthpiece and then very carefully twist that in there. If it's way too difficult to do it, you can actually use something that we call cork grease. It's looks a lot like chapstick. You don't really need it for flutes. I've known flute players who never use it, but if you feel like it is just way too difficult to get that in there, that's something that you can use. Sometimes there is a logo up here that you line up to make sure it's in the right place. This one doesn't have that, but some of them do. So if there is a logo that says what brand your flute is, go ahead and line it up with the brand on the joint there. Then the last piece is the bottom here, and that twists on in the same way. And then the next thing you are going to do is you want to know where your fingers go. Now the flute is sometimes kind of confusing. So if you see on the bottom, there's 2 thumb joints. We're going to go ahead and say that this is where you put your thumb if you want to use it. Right there, there's the long one and then the short one. Go ahead and use that long one. Then when we turn it over, your first finger on the left hand goes right here. There's this one and then this one. You'll notice that this makes that one go down too. That's why you don't need to put your finger on that one. Then you skip 1, 2, 3. And that is the left hand. If you ever need a pinky, it's right there. So 1, 2, 3, then the pinky. Then you skip over to the next side. You skip 1 again. 1, 2, 3. You'll notice, see this one? It pushes down that one too. So you don't need to put your finger on this one because this one takes care of it. So 1, 2, 3, right in a row, and then your pinky's right up here. Now one of the mistakes that I see people make is that they have this pinky button way down here and then they have to contort their hand in all sorts of weird positions to get there. Go ahead and twist this bottom joint to where you can use your pinky comfortably. And then when you're going to hold the flute, you put it up here if you need to. Sometimes it's best if you just cover the flute with your mouth and then roll it down. I'm not very good at it, but that's not really why we're here. So then you want to really make sure that you're sitting up tall. If you let it go down and bend like this, you're actually kinking up your air supply and it's not going to go out right. So you want to make sure you're sitting up tall. Don't prop it up on your shoulder. That's not going to work either. Just keep a nice tall posture. The flute's not very heavy. Even 5th graders can hold them up without it being too big of a deal. And then you play your flute like you need to. Then when you're done, putting it up is a lot the same thing as when you get it out. You just take one little piece, lightly twist, take that off, put it back in the case. Now when you're taking these apart, be sure that you don't squeeze too tight because look at all these bars and stuff that are moving. If you bend one of these just right or just wrong, then your flute might not seal the hole right and the flute won't make a right sound even if you have the right fingering. So be very, very careful when you're taking this off. You shouldn't have to be a He-Man to get this off. You just have twist it nice and easy and it should come out pretty simply. And then, if you had one of these, you go ahead and very carefully, ooh, I almost forgot. A lot of people will put these in. You can put it into here to clean it out a bit, but once you notice that it stops moving, don't push any harder. This piece right here is not supposed to come off. And I've seen people jam this in there so hard that it pops that out. There's no reason to do that. If you are going to clean it out with your shove-it, very, very carefully put that in there, pull it back out, no more. But the most important piece is this longest one there in the middle. You just very carefully shove that in there. Then make sure that that goes in. It helps if you do it the right way. There you go. And I did forget one thing. You'll notice that there's a bunch of fingerprints on here. That's from the oils on my fingers. That's why there's a polishing cloth. You just take the polishing cloth, give it a quick rub down all around the flute. Now be careful not to bend anything while you're doing it, but that will help your flute look shiny and new for a lot longer than it is, than just longer than if you didn't. So there you go. There's that, and we carefully shut the flute, latch it, and that's good. And that is the flute.